Welcome to the Great Detectives of Old Time Radio. From Boise, Idaho, this is your host, Adam Graham. If you have a comment, email it to me. Box13@greatdetectives.net. Follow us on Twitter at Radio Detectives and become one of our friends on Facebook, facebook.com/Radio Detectives. Well, our listener support campaign continues. I want to thank everybody for their support so far. You can support the show at support.greatdetectives.net. And during the listener support campaign, for all donations of $7 or more, we will send access to our premium site. In addition, we'll spend an extra special thank you gift for all donations of $20 or more. Among the donation items we have available at the $50 level, we'll send you the Hillary Kane Mysteries, which is a great set from Jim French Productions in Seattle, following a 1930s girl detective and a great British period piece. That's at the $50 level. At the $100 level, I will send you a copy of my audiobook, Powerhouse Hard Pressed, from Audible or on the iTunes Store. As well as your choice, any Nero Wolfe audiobook or any of my other prior audiobooks. Now it's time to get into today's episode of yours truly, Johnny Dollar, The Plantagent Matter, Part 5. And coming up later on, we will finish Crime for a King. So let's go ahead and take a listen.
From Hollywood, it's time now for...
Johnny Dollar.
This is Paul Dameron, Mr. Dollar. I was afraid you left town, and I wanted to talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to thank you for your kindness about Amy and the way you handled Terry. It was darn decent of you. And of course, I want to apologize for my attitude again.
How's Mrs. O'Connell?
Terrible. I mean, the papers this morning connected her sister Amy with murdering Belden and committing suicide. I'm curious. How did you get to her?
I found Amy's purse, and there was a gun in it. I looked up the registration.
Oh. The murder gun?
I don't know. I haven't turned it over to the police yet.
Why?
Because I still can't believe Amy Duran was the kind of girl who'd shoot a man and then take poison.
Tonight, and every weekday night, Bob Bailey in the transcribed adventures of the man with the action-packed expense account, America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Expense account submitted by Special Investigator Johnny Dollar. Location, Vicksburg, Virginia. To Special Investigator Johnny Dollar for personal reasons in connection with the Plantagent matter. Expense account item 11, $15, legal fees for services rendered by lawyer Sam Oldfield.
Now sign here, Dollar. And here, sir. Okay, I guess that's it.
What now, Mr. Oldfield?
This statement you've made to me clearly states your intentions in this matter, your motives. You attempted to help a girl who died in your company. You had no idea she might have committed a murder or embezzled $10,000. You withheld evidence, the gun you found in her purse, in the hope of identifying her and saving her family some grief. I hope you don't have to use this stuff.
We'll see. I'm going to turn the gun in now, and you're coming with me.
It's about time. Nothing personal, son. I think you did a lot of dumb things for her. From what they're saying in the papers about her, I don't think she deserved it. But then we all make wrong guesses sometimes, I suppose.
Let's get this over with. Lawyer Sam Oldfield accompanied me downtown to police headquarters, where we sought out Lieutenant Akins and turned over the .38 automatic. Oldfield handed the statement over to him, and he read it through. Then he called in his ballistics man to make an immediate check of the gun. When he'd done that, Akins asked Oldfield and myself to wait. He left. An hour later, he came back.
You are a lucky boy, Dollar. First off, I'm going to tell you, that gun you've been withholding, that's the same weapon that killed the auditor, Clarence Belden. Okay, now, you played it as safe as you could, and you hired this lawyer to protect you when it came to turning it in. Well, you didn't need him.
Huh?
Any other time, I'd have put you in the poker so fast you'd have thought you was born there. This time I'm feeling generous. You can go, Mr. Oldfield.
Me?
You.
No charges against Mr. Dollar of withholding information?
No, not this time. I got my Jane Doe identified. I know her motive for killing the auditor. I know why she took the poison. You generally don't get everything in a neat package like that, so I feel generous.
Then let's get out of here, Dollar.
You get out. I want to talk to Dollar.
Then I'll stay and listen.
It's okay, Mr. Oldfield. I'm going to get a lecture is all.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Call me later, then. Goodbye, Lieutenant.
Yeah. One thing more, Dollar. We found an empty bottle of paramythol in Amy Duran's medicine cabinet, and that cinches that suicide part, in case you had any doubts. It's a closed case.
Uh-huh.
But you didn't help me close it, Dollar, and you could have. You worked with the police for years. You were an officer yourself once. What makes you think you can come down here and run around doing all these things you've done and get away with them? Why didn't you turn that gun in with the purse as soon as you found it?
All right, I'll tell you, because I... Oh, it doesn't make any difference now, Lieutenant. You've got your case.
And you're lucky, darn lucky boy I don't have you, too. Because you know just as well as I do that... Oh. Lieutenant Akins. Okay, right away. Dollar, I got business to take care of. Next time you're in my town, you take it easy.
I will. But I don't think I'll ever come to your town again. On general principles.
Well, I guess I know how you felt about that girl. I'm not going to make any fuss about what you did. But I don't think I'd let it pass a second time. She sure didn't look the part, did she?
No, she didn't.
Yeah, happens that way sometimes. What you told me about that kid sister of hers trying suicide and so forth after she lost her husband. Well, Amy Duran had a good motive for stealing that money. If motive can ever be good.
Dollar, Lieutenant?
Huh?
I was just on my way to see you, Lieutenant.
I'll be back in my office in a couple of minutes. You can go on in and wait, Mr. Dameron.
I'm glad I saw you, Mr. Dollar. I think there's something I should explain to you. You'd be interested in this, too, Lieutenant. Mr. Dollar saw me arguing with Amy Duran in a parking lot at the Plantagent Hotel last night. She just told me about the shortage in accounts. She hadn't told me about killing the auditor. I want you to know that I was racking my brain trying to find a way to get hold of some money to make up the shortage. I was always very fond of Amy. I wonder, Mr. Dollar, if I could give you a check.
Huh?
Something for your kindness.
Nothing, thanks.
Well, I'd like to. You did something very decent.
No.
Oh. Well, I suppose you'll be leaving soon. Goodbye, and thanks again. I'll be in your office, Lieutenant.
Right. Got to him, too, if it's any comfort. What was that business in the parking lot?
Oh, well, I hit him. He was arguing with her, that's all.
No. You weren't the only one trying to help her, Dollar. Him. And then there was somebody else.
Huh?
A bank. We found a certified check for $10,000 in Amy Duran's apartment.
What?
National Trust in New York, issued 3 days ago. I wired the head cashier in New York. He said Amy Duran phoned him long distance, requested the loan. Seems her folks, when they were alive, had a good pull at that bank.
Wait a minute, hold it. Then this isn't right. She could have covered that shortage.
Well, I figure she intended to do that, but the auditor found out too quick. He called her on it, and she shot him.
With a $10,000 check in her hand?
Well...
There isn't an auditor or a bonding company going that wouldn't prefer to turn up the cash and the person who took it. They'd listen to any reasonable story. You know that.
Well, the auditor must have scared her, Dollar. She shot him, didn't she? She committed suicide, didn't she?
You make a lot of noise, Akins, but you aren't any happier about this than I am, are you?
No.
Why let the papers have it the way it is?
Well, so that whoever knows the answer will get careless. Sure, it burns me. Somebody thinking the police as dumb as this. Burns me.
Well, what are you going to do?
Wait. Just wait.
I found that pretty hard to do. And the more I waited and the more I thought about the matter, the more restless I felt. So I didn't wait. I got out and started interviewing people who had known the murdered auditor. The consensus was that he knew his business, that if he'd found a shortage and someone offered to reimburse the company, he had been the kind of old hand who would have listened to them. Why, I asked myself, if Amy Duran had a $10,000 check to cover her shortages, why did she shoot the auditor and then commit suicide? Why? It didn't make sense.
Oh, Dollar.
Hello, Dameron.
Come in, Dollar. I'm glad you dropped by. I thought you'd left town, gone back to Hartford.
Well, I've stayed over so long waiting for all this to get cleared up, I thought I might as well stick around a while longer.
Sure. Can I get you a drink?
No, thanks.
It is finished, isn't it?
Not yet.
I don't understand. I talked with Lieutenant Akins today after I saw you with him. He said it was all over as far as he was concerned.
You're talking to me now, Dameron. I'm the guy who went out on the limb.
And I appreciate that a great deal.
A question I want to ask you. You knew Amy Duran, worked with her at Richmond Limited. You're engaged to marry her sister. Did you know Amy had a $10,000 check in her hand the day she died?
Really?
That was enough money to cover the shortages in her accounts.
Well, I'll be darned. Why do you suppose she shot him? Did what she did then?
I've been thinking about that, Dameron. There's only one reason I can think of. Because Amy Duran didn't steal any money, because she didn't shoot any auditor, she didn't commit suicide. I think she borrowed that $10,000 from New York to cover up for somebody else.
Somebody else? Who?
You.
Maybe you better leave here. You're upset.
That auditor was a smart guy. He'd been in the business a long time. He found out who'd been taking the money. He called you over to ask you about it, ask you if you could repay it. You lost your head and you shot him with a .38 you picked up over at Teresa O'Connell's one day.
Now, look.
Then you fixed up all the reports to make it look like Amy Duran did the job.
You're crazy. That's fantastic. If you think I'm
Amy
going to...
Amy Duran borrowed money to cover for you. She did it not because you were worth it, but because you meant something to her kid sister. You meant something to Teresa O'Connell, who'd lost one husband and tried suicide because of it. A Teresa O'Connell who couldn't afford another major tragedy. A Teresa O'Connell who might try suicide again if the man she was going to marry turned out to be a thief. You counted on that, Dameron.
I don't know what you're talking about. Now,
One
you
thing
listen...
you hadn't counted on was the auditor picking it up so fast. And when he called you, you had to kill him to keep him quiet. Then you made a date with Amy out at the Plantagent Hotel. You slipped poison in her drink and planted the gun in her purse.
This is all talk. Just talk. You have nothing to prove
She had one drink with you before you argued with her out in the parking lot. She told me. And the bartender later verified it. Then I came along. Now, look. You're a big guy, Dameron. You could have hit me back in that parking lot, but you didn't have time. You still had to get over to Amy's apartment and plant an empty poison box.
You're crazy. You have no proof of this. No proof at all.
No, I haven't. But I've been thinking about it all day, and there'll be proof. You had to buy that poison someplace. Lieutenant Akins is a pretty good police officer. He and his men will cover every drugstore in this town and ask questions everywhere.
Now, listen,
I'm going to
Dollar.
tell him what I think, and he'll dust off that box of poison. Maybe your prince will turn up on it. Sooner or later, guys like you make mistakes, and Akins finds them.
Get out of
But
here,
I'm not
Dollar.
gonna
Get
wait
out
for
of here.
Now, listen, you. A girl, a fine, decent girl, asked me for help. This is the quickest way I know to give her the help.
I'll kill you, Dollar. I'll kill you.
No, you won't. You're not going to kill me. Okay, come on. Get up. Get up.
I've had enough.
I want you to tell it now, right now. Over there. Pick it up. Go on, pick it up. Okay, here. And you know who to call.
Hello. Give me the police.
Expense account item 12, $55, room and board. Item 13, $55 airfare and miscellaneous getting me back to Hartford. Total expense account, $702.13. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Remember, there'll be another exciting story of yours truly, Johnny Dollar, beginning next Monday night.
Next week, a whole city is aroused by one of the dirtiest rackets of modern times. And I end up right in the middle of things. Join us, won't you? Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, starring Bob Bailey, is transcribed in Hollywood. Written by John Dawson, it is produced and directed by Jack Johnstone. Heard in this week's cast were Michael Ann Barrett, Gene Bates, Marvin Miller, Frank Gerstle, Lawrence Dobkin, Jack Crucian, Ken Peters, and Herb Butterfield. Musical supervision by Amerigo Marino. Be sure to join us on Monday night, same time and station, for another exciting story of yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Roy Rowan speaking.
Welcome back. A very good case with a solution that I think surprised me the first time I heard it, but not really the second time. I began to recall it. I think when he offered Johnny money, he really, I think, set in motion something that would just arouse his suspicions. We'll be back, I guess, to a more normal, typical Johnny Dollar case next week, but there's rarely anything typical when we're dealing with the man with the action-packed expense account. Now we turn to Carter Brown, and today's episode, Crime for King, Part 4, where Roger King has just discovered yet another double cross in this web, so let's go ahead and take a listen.
Carter Brown, Mysteries. Adventures in excitement and suspense, based on the best-selling novels by the slick storytelling sensation, Carter Brown. The more I thought about it, the funnier it became. And the laugh was on me, because there was I, Roger King, the smart private eye, itching to tell the Baroness von Altz that there was a plot to plant her with a fake diamond pendant. And the Baroness was fake herself, or was pretending to be. I couldn't decide which. All I knew was that the Baroness and Elise St. Chris were the same dame. I kicked that intriguing fact around in my head for the rest of that day, and came evening, I was outside Marcia's apartment door again.
Hi.
Hi yourself. Or are you?
Not yet, but I've got the wherewithal waiting. Come on in. I kind of thought you'd be calling tonight.
Well, that's nice. And so is this room. Cozy lights, warm fire.
I pulled the lounge up in front of it.
For you and Rodney?
Rodney won't be over tonight.
Oh.
I'll pour us a drink. Why don't you relax?
Hey, that's a great idea. I never felt more like relaxing.
Me neither. Here we are.
Thanks.
You don't have to sit as far away as that, do you? Move closer.
Here's to crime.
Here's to our partnership.
What's the setup for tomorrow night?
It's all fixed. The ball starts at 9. You pick me up here about 10. We'll go over to Polly's office and pick up the pendant. Then we head south and meet Rodney.
Sounds simple enough.
Uh-huh. So we don't have to think about it anymore.
Suits me.
Roger, you're smart. From right outside the whole thing, you picked up even more than Rodney knew. About the St. Chris woman and everything.
Just luck. Private eye has to have some luck sometimes, otherwise it goes broke.
Now you're being modest. You know, it's not fair. You being handsome as well as clever.
Lady, with a line like that, you leave me breathless.
Girl has to watch points. You can't be too careful about choosing a man. I'm ditching Palvy only just in time. And there are moments when I find myself wondering whether Rodney's really smart enough to get by.
Roundabout now, I think I could move even closer.
I think you could, too.
I picked up Marcia promptly at 10 the next night, the 18th. She had 2 of her suitcases packed, and I put them in the boot of the Dodge, and we drove round to the offices of Overseas Enterprises. Marcia had all the right keys, and as the elevator wasn't working, we used the stairs.
Hold the flashlight up while I find the key.
Sure. It's nice that Povey trusts you so much.
Yeah, isn't it? Ah, this is it. Oh, come on. Let's not waste any time. It's in his office. You can turn on the light now, I think.
Okay. Where does he keep it?
In the safe.
I don't see any safe.
It's a wall model. Behind that picture.
Have you got the key to that?
It's a combination lock. But don't worry. The picture slides up.
Mm-hmm.
6. No. 6, 2, 7. That's it. And there it is. Oh, look, Roger.
The Carmel Royal Pendant. Hey, it's really something, isn't it?
Oh, it's beautiful.
But not real.
Povey!
That's right, Mr. King. Just keep your hands by your sides. This gun and I aren't joking.
Why aren't you at the ball?
Because that pendant's a fake. As big a fake as you, my dear Marcia. It's very funny, isn't it? I hope you both appreciate it. The real pendant turns out to be a fake.
It can't be.
But it is. All the planning, all the double-crossing, for nothing. I took it out tonight for another look at it, and then I noticed something. Something only very few people would have the knowledge or experience to see. It's very pretty, very well made, and worth about $1,500. An expensive phony, but a phony.
Who pulled the switch? The beautiful Elise St. Creets?
I suppose so, though I don't know how she could have done it.
Where does she fit into this picture anyway?
I met her in Europe about 6 months ago. She talked to me in vague terms about the possibility of doing a deal. She didn't mention the name of the Baroness, but the plot was outlined to me. I told her I'd think it over. I did. And when I got back here, I decided there was no good reason for cutting her into the deal. I could handle the whole thing myself.
Sure. Why split profits if you don't have to?
Exactly. When the Baroness arrived and I got the job of fixing the clip on the pendant, I realized the Baroness was who Elise St. Creets had been talking about. She called me a day or so later and told me she was over here and what about her deal. I said I wasn't interested. Then she threatened me. That was when I hired you to keep an eye on her.
Uh-huh. The pieces fall into place.
But I didn't think Marcia was planning to double-cross me.
Well, you know how it is, Povey. One good cross deserves another.
She won't get the chance to try it again. I'm going to kill you, Marcia. And your private eye friend will join you next.
Take it easy, Povey. That won't get you anywhere. If you cool down, we can still make some dough out of this deal.
What are you talking about?
Did you ever see the Baroness von Oltz?
No.
I'll bet you didn't. She'd take care of that. You see, the Baroness and Elise St. Creets are one and the same.
What?
That's right.
But why would she want to rob herself?
I think I've figured that. Was a cunning caper. Even baronesses can be broke, and I think at one stage she must have been so broke that she sold the pendant. Not in its original form, of course.
It must have been split up. It's too well known to sell any other way.
Yeah, and at the same time I think she had a fake made. The one in your safe right now.
Go on, King.
Then Doe gets short again, and she gets another idea. If her pendant should be stolen, she could claim the insurance money. But if it is stolen, she has to make sure it doesn't turn up again, because it's a fake.
Yes, I'm beginning to see it.
Sure. She puts up the scheme to you that she should be robbed of a fake pendant at the ball, the one you would supply while you kept the one you thought was real. She knows the fake one stolen from her will be destroyed, and the original will be returned by you to the insurance company. But here's where you get the big laugh. When you return what you think is the original, Elise, or the Baroness, whichever you prefer, has a look at it and yells fake. The insurance people check up. They find it is a fake. And that means the Baroness collects the insurance dough, and you're left without even a fake pendant.
I don't believe it.
Can you make the facts fit any other way?
Of course not. You're right, Roger.
That was why the Baroness couldn't be known as the Baroness to you. That's why she took the name of Elise St. Chris.
Of all that dirty double-crossing...
Polvy, that doesn't really come well from you. She was just too smart for you.
And how do you think we can make money out of it now?
We should like to know that, too.
What?
Watch him, Johnny.
I am.
You fooled me! I'll...
I'm afraid poor Mr. Polvey will do nothing any more.
Very stupid of any man to try shooting at a man who is behind him.
Marcia, I'd better introduce you. This is the lady we were talking about, Elise St. Chris, alias the Baroness. And the gentleman is named Johnny, alias, I presume, the Baron.
So, you worked that out too, Mr. King.
It just came to me like a flash.
Oh, you have more brains than we credited you with.
Like the late Mr. Polvey, he did too. We picked him as a so-called expert who wouldn't notice the fake. But he was a better craftsman than we thought.
How did you get here?
We noticed Mr. Polvey had left the ball. We thought it might be wise to follow his example.
Johnny, you're wasting time.
Yes, of course, my dear. We're going for a ride, Mr. King. And I'm going to enjoy our farewell. Though I'm afraid I can't say the same for you.
Drop that gun.
What in the...
Drop it, pal. That's better. I always feel safer when I'm the only guy with a gun.
Well. Just like a daisy chain, isn't it? Polvey holds us up, then the Baron holds Polvey up. And now little Rodney holds the Baron up.
Oh, Rodney, I'm so glad you came.
Are you? I wonder. I just got an idea in my head that maybe you and King were trying a little funny stuff. Stay where you are, King.
It's okay, Rodney. I just want to grab this gun.
Get him, Johnny!
Oh, no, don't try it, Baron. Freeze. I'm just aching for an excuse to let you both have it. Marcia?
Yes, Roger.
Go downstairs and call the cops. Wait till they arrive and then bring them up. Tell them I'm here with the Baron and his wife, and we've discovered they stole the pendant. Tell them you're Polvey's secretary and that I was working for Polvey, and he's been murdered. Got it?
Yes, Roger. I've got it. I'll be as quick as I can.
Well, this is nice and cozy now, isn't it? You know, Johnny, I never liked you from the off. From that time you hit me over the head when I wasn't looking.
I assure you the feeling is mutual.
But I don't think you've got any nerve at all. Behind that tough front, I think there's only a watermelon.
Big talk when you have two guns. Mine and your own.
We'll see. Elise, come here.
Yes?
Here's your husband's gun. Take it by the barrel and walk backwards toward him. If you try to turn, I'll shoot.
Very well.
Now, we'll see who's the better man, Johnny. When she gives you the gun, Elise can count to 3, and then we'll fire.
You are going to fight a duel with me?
Unless you're too scared.
That I have never been accused of.
Okay. Hand him the gun. Now start counting, honey.
1,
Make your last wish, King, quickly.
2, 3. You hit him, Johnny! You hit him!
But not so badly as he hit me.
Don't go for his gun, Elise. It's only my shoulder that's got a slug in it. I can still pull a trigger. You've been a sucker, Baron.
How?
There was only one thing wrong with the setup. When the cops turn up, I could explain Rodney's death. He could be one of Polvey's assistants who turned up because he wanted to rescue us from you. But the trouble was that though he was shot with your gun, Johnny, it had my fingerprints on it. Now it has yours.
Why, you...
We shall tell the police the truth.
And who do you think they'll believe? They're coming now. Smile, suckers.
This is Carter Brown. You've got to hand it to Roger King, haven't you? He may have been befogged in the beginning, but he came in fine at the finish. I couldn't let him do anything else, could I? He's a hero. My next book's got a different kind of leading character, Richard Van Bryden III. I've called his saga Malice for a Multimillionaire because that's what he is. So this is Carter Brown saying so long for now. Be seeing you.
In Crime for a King, you heard our star Terry McDermott as Roger King. The Carter Brown Mystery Theater, based on the best-selling novels by Carter Brown, is dramatized and directed by Morris Travers for Grace Gibson Radio Productions.
Welcome back. Well, I have to say, I think Roger would have been better taking his risk with the police on the fingerprints issue, rather than going to all this trouble. I mean, seriously, Roger, this could have easily turned out the other way. So this was one of those really bizarre risks, and it's actually, this was actually I think the best serial we've heard so far. And nothing really didn't, usually with some of these, I've mentioned that they're basically the equivalent of the spaghetti westerns that dominated in the 1950s and 60s, those set in Australia. But there hadn't really been any of those really odd things that just seem to strain credulity right up until the end. I thought this was, very well done, some snappy dialogue, and Roger King was not left in a position where Carter Brown couldn't bring him back, and I wonder if he did. We don't have any of his episodes in existence. By the way, I should let you know, this will be we will be taking a break from Carter Brown for a while. The reason is we have 2 more serials coming up with missing episodes, and so we can't really string 4 straight episodes together without interruption. So we will actually return with another Carter Brown episode, should be in about 9 weeks. In the meantime, we're going to begin airing a series that has single episodes, so they're self-contained. It's called Dr. Tim Detective, and it's not necessary to have them all strung together. And it really is. It's a very nice series. I should warn you in advance, it was written more towards a juvenile audience. And that was definitely why I was going to play it at the end. Even when I was originally thinking on doing most of these episodes with the Carter Brown, with the other feature first, followed by Johnny Dollar. But just to be warned, a little bit more juvenile, but still I thought pretty darn entertaining, and I hope you will enjoy it as well. That's Dr. Tim Detective, coming next week to the Great Detectives of Old Time Radio. In the meantime, you can send your comments to box13 at greatdetectives.net. Follow us on Twitter at Radio Detectives, and become one of our friends on Facebook, facebook.com/Radio Detectives. And I almost forgot, join us back here on Monday for another episode of Johnny Dollar, and on Saturday, we'll be bringing you the lineup. In the meantime, from Boise, Idaho, this is your host, Adam Graham, signing off.